All right. Well, thank you again to those that have just joined the call. We are excited right now. We'll hear from my leader and Manpower Group's Global Diversity Officer, Christopher Rowland. Again, he'll talk with us about his journey, some barriers that he's faced throughout that journey, some tips on success, and just some people that have supported him along the way. This will be a multi-generational conversation with our previous fellow, Milwaukee fellow and student in Milwaukee County, Daniel Cook LaFleur. So Daniel worked with Manpower Group in 2018, 2019 through his MPS internship. And Daniel, let's get this discussion started.
Yes, thank you for good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Everyone hear me okay?
You're
Everyone
breaking
can
up.
hear me. Can hear me fine. Can
Dan, you're breaking up just a little bit, but it sounds like it may be coming in clear
how
now.
about now? Can everyone?
Yep, that's a little bit better.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. All right, for sure. So, yeah, thank you, Nafisa, for that, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited to get started. Well, with that being said, let's dive in. We might learn more about your role and working for Manpower Group.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan, and you're still breaking up a little bit. So maybe you can check your audio while we're doing a quick introduction, and I'm telling a little bit about myself. But thank you so much to everyone who joined the call today. Incredibly excited and honored to be a speaker and to share kind of my personal perspective and journey with you here today. As Nafisa mentioned, this has been the fifth year of this job seminar, and looking at the growth over the last 4 to 5 years, it's incredible to see how this seminar has grown. And so honored again to be a small part of this discussion. And as we were talking about kind of the value that we could bring, Dan and myself, and how we fit into this power packed lineup that we had here today, the thought was, as Nafisa mentioned, let's just have a conversation, an intergenerational conversation of what it looks like to be a Black or minority in corporate America. What has worked, what hasn't, what stumbling blocks have we seen, what challenges have we overcome, and really look at it from both those perspectives. So again, hopefully you get a little bit of a takeaway, a couple of snippets, some wisdom from today's conversation, and so looking forward to the rest of the day. So I'll start off by talking a little bit about my journey. First of all, for those of you who may not be familiar with Manpower Group, we are a workforce solutions company, a company that values the dignity of work, that believes in the human potential of people, and really believes that meaningful and sustainable employment, really has the power to change the world. And so as an organization, and as an individual who strongly values people, strongly values the potential of people, it was a good fit from the very onset. I've been with the company for 12 years, started out as a temp recruiter with the organization, and quite often I get the question, why have you been with the organization so long? Typical stints or 10 years with companies currently, is 3 to 4 years is kind of the time frame or norm for individuals to stay with a company current state. But the answer to that question is really because of the opportunity to grow and develop that Manpower Group has provided me. I think back actually a couple years ago when I kind of did the intro for this conference, I talked about this book that I love that is called Watering the Bamboo, and it's by Greg Bell. And the genesis or the tagline for that book is around how bamboo takes 3 years where it doesn't grow at all, where it's underground, it's kind of setting its roots, it's being watered, it's being nurtured. And then in 60 days, it grows 90 feet. And the moral of that story is that, this doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of times the hard work, not everyone sees it. And that certainly has been my journey with Manpower Group. They've allowed me to stretch myself. They've allowed me to take risks. They allowed me to fail, and they've nurtured that. And that's one of the reasons why I've stayed with the organization and been able to grow. My role as Global Diversity Officer, for those of you who may not be familiar with what a Global Diversity Officer is, I help our organization globally with our diversity internally related to our people and culture. So, making sure that we're diverse as possible, recognizing the various facets or dimensions of diversity, but also making sure that we're an inclusive culture. We operate in over 70 territories and regions. And so I do a lot of work with our HR and business leaders, making sure we're diverse and we're inclusive. And if you look at current state, as it relates to some of the crises that we're going through, not only the health crisis, but the social crisis, the economic crisis, diversity, equity, and inclusion work, both internally with companies and the communities in which we operate, is more relevant and more powerful than ever. We are at an inflection point for our companies, for our country, for the world. And so this work is so very important, and something that, if you were to ask me 10, 15 years ago, I would have never thought that I would end up here. But something that is so powerful and meaning to me personally, and resonates, to our core values. So a little bit about my journey. Again, super excited to be here and talk about some of the lessons that I've learned over my tenure with Manpower Group.
Right. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that introduction and knowledge up on Manpower Group, Chris. Again, I'm very excited to, just to be a part of this discussion itself. Just seeing 2 years ago, I was just had the opportunity just to listen in and just take in so much of everything that was being discussed. And now 2 years later, just being a part of, having the opportunity to be a part of such, I'm just in awe right now, So I'm very excited, and, just our relationship, mentor and mentee relationship, I think is just perfect for us to be here right now, just having this conversation. Chris, can you tell us what are some of the preconceived notions that Black men face headed into an interview, and what tactics can they employ to overcome those barriers for a successful interview?
Yeah, I think that's a great question and relevant question, and certainly with some of the events that have happened recently, I think it has uncovered the bias, the prejudice that is a reality in America, and so understanding that context, certainly important to think about what that means for employability, for employment, and more simply, what that means for interviews. I guess
Right.
I would start with, and again, to your point, Daniel, we've had some of these conversations, personally back and forth as I think about some of the tactics that individuals can, employ to overcome some of these barriers. The first would be preparation. Preparation is so key, and it will distinguish those who are ready or have done the hard work in advance of the interview process from those who haven't. We live in the information age. There's so much information out there that individuals can readily get access to. And so the more preparation and work and understanding that you do up front of the company, of the role, and how that aligns to what you're looking for and to your values, the better you're going to be set up for success. So research the company, really understand the role, come with some questions to answer. And I think, regardless of race or creed, that's always going to serve you well to have a successful interview. Know that everything is being evaluated. So, what I often tell people, having done interviews and also have, being the interviewee, on a number of occasions, is that from the start of the time you enter that door, be it interacting with a secretary or a host or hostess, to the manager that you're interacting to, the employees that you may meet during that time, all of that is being evaluated, and will be brought up as they think about who they want to bring into the organization. So know that going in. Certainly, I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit, and Shannon and Nafisa have led some sessions previously on this, but there's a component of dress for success. As much as we may deny it, the truth is the first impression is what people see, and so make sure that you're looking professional and dressed for success. And then the biggest key is just being confident in who you are and what you're looking for. Again, we're living in an age where now people are starting to work more virtual. There's more access to different jobs and opportunities, and so really being clear on exactly what you're looking for, and how that ties to your purpose and your values will allow you to have the confidence and strength to go into an interview and bring your best and most authentic self. And so I would say spend some time thinking about that. The realistic, the realistic kind of landscape right now is that unemployment is higher than ever, and certainly people are looking for jobs and opportunities to meet the day-to-day demands, and that's okay. We all look for jobs to meet the day-to-day needs, but also having a sense of really what you're looking for and to be able to articulate that to your employer, again, shows that confidence and that you kind of thought it through. So those would be some of the things that I would recommend to folks, and again, be your authentic self. Not every culture is for everybody, and that's okay. Not every company is for everybody, and that's okay. But if you do some of the work up front, you'll be better situated to have a great interview and bring the value that we each uniquely have to that interview.
Right. I definitely agree with everything you said. I felt like it was a great point where you brought up just being your most authentic self, and each individual have something unique about themselves that they can bring to the company, and just to help with that. So just going into my next question, Black men in corporate America, there appears to be a model for those who are successful and thrive in a corporate environment. What about the men who don't fit that archetype, or what do you say to them? Do they need to conform or assimilate, or is there room for diversity of work styles for Black men?
Such a powerful question. Dan, and I'm glad you asked that. And I know that is a question that many individuals wrestle with, in terms of, if I'm being my authentic self, is there a place for it? I guess I would start with the truth is, of course, different companies have different cultures, shaped by kind of their history and their leaders. Many companies have unwritten rules or ways to work and operate that are deeply embedded into those companies. But as I mentioned up front, I really do believe we are at an inflection point in business, in our history. It's been proven time and time again, diversity adds so much value to organizations. Diversity of thought leads to innovation. It allows you to reflect your customer base and service your customers better. It leads to better performance. And I think right now companies are really starting to recognize that more and more. On top of that, we have 5 generations in the workforce at the same time. And the reason why that is important is because desires, wants, motivations, working styles are all being challenged, even by the way we're having this call right now and working in a virtual format. Work-life flexibility, all of that is coming up. And so I'm talking about diversity more broadly, but the landscape that is being built allows for individuals to be more of their authentic self. And so I think it's important to start with companies and for people to understand that paradigm is starting to shift, and that there is more than ever opportunities to bring your unique value to the organization. And organizations are starting to adapt to that. For the individual, and again, Dan, you and I have had this conversation more than ever. you know, really understanding who you are and what success looks like for you is the most important thing. You know, don't let the company define what success looks like. Don't let others define what success looks like, or you, who you are. And so having that foundation allows you again to be more confident in who you are, what you stand for, and your voice. You know, moving forward. And then you know, I would also say skills. Skills trump everything. You know, we're living in an environment where skills are more relevant than ever, and that there's a skills shortage. And so having the skills that you need to be successful for corporations, not only for today, but also for tomorrow, will allow you to be successful in any environment. So long-winded way of saying absolutely diversity has a place. Being a Black male, absolutely you can be successful in corporate America. But it's a combination of the changing environment and you being comfortable and very sure in who you are, what you want, and what you bring to the table for those organizations.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just being your most authentic self and just being who you are definitely can bring a lot of value to anywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? Just be yourself, and I definitely agree with that. That was powerful, Chris.
So I told you a little bit about myself. I would love to hear about you as well. Dan, want this to certainly be a two-way exchange, and I will say I've seen you grow and develop. I've seen you take advantage of every opportunity that was put before you. So tell me a little bit about your journey. You know, what has led you to where you are today? What has helped accelerate your career? And as a young Black male, you know, a Gen Z post-millennial, what lessons have you learned about corporate America that you could share with the group?
Right. Thank you. Well, for me personally, just coming up as a young Black male, and I'm gonna just talk about that in general. Just coming up as a young Black male in the community that I am in, you know, we have things we have stress elements. We have like things that's tough for us coming up and barriers that we have to overcome. But my journey has been like pretty wild and pretty crazy. It's been all over the place kind of, but having those mentors and having those like conversations with, you know, you and other mentors that I have has definitely like kind of grounded me and like, you know what I'm saying, having a put me in a circle where I can see everything from like different point of views and being able to like really get my focus on my purpose. You know what I'm saying? So like some things that I've had like I had to overcome working up in corporate America was things like we talk about being my most authentic self. Like when I first came in, I felt like being young and Black in general, I felt like all odds was on me at all times. Like I didn't have room to mess up. I didn't have room to slack. I didn't have room to be myself. You know what I'm saying, like that? Because I started my days off when I was in high school, coming from a point where 7:30 in the morning, I'm in high school, surrounded by all of my friends, and I'm able to crack jokes about anything that's, you know what I'm saying, anything, still not wanting to offend anyone, you know what I'm saying, in any situation. But I was able to, I felt like I had more of a freer voice, you know what I'm saying. And I know even adults still feel like that sometimes. It's, you know what I'm saying, up in the workforce where you have to, you know what I'm saying, just take your time out and just, you know, it's certain things that you can't mention or touch base upon. But like moving forward, just like going into after school, and then I come into a big corporation where, you know what I'm saying, it's businessmen and women in suits and ties, and it just forced me to just be on my A game a little bit more, and just having those mentors that, you know what I'm saying, that focus upon me and help me and lead me into the position that I'm in today. I thank you all for one. I thank you personally too, Chris, Nafisa, and everyone helped me up on my journey. some tips that I would give out to someone that's been in the same situation as me, just, you know, to I'm just going back off that same topic. Just be your most authentic self, and whatever that you bring to the table, make sure you bring it at your most potential. Like, you know what I'm saying? Do everything. Everything is in grind mode. Everything is valuable. Everything is gonna go the way you want if you just do your best and just be resourceful. I feel like just being a resourceful person, being optimistic and everything that you do. But also, I know me and you had talked about this a lot, just also being optimistic, and being intentional at the same time. Like, so whatever you want to do, make sure you have a steady plan, and so you can focus on it and grind towards that, whatever that goal that you have. So, yeah, that just wraps it up about me, my journey, and everything that I've been through. So
yeah, I think that's such good advice, Dan. And I think you're a powerful example of that balance between being opportunistic and being intentional. As I've watched you from afar and from up close, and you know, as you shared coming into a new environment, you know, being young, being Black, you know, I think some of that uneasiness is a reality, and that's okay. And it's something that many of us deal with, being the only, be it, you know, various dimensions of diversity, be it ethnicity, be it age, be it whatever, of feeling uncomfortable, and that's okay. But what I saw that you did so well was that you didn't let that stop your motivation, your drive, your grind to move forward, and you were open to exploring new and different things, asking questions, and I think that's part of why you have been so successful, not only in Manpower Group, but beyond, and why you will continue to be successful, because you are not only, you know, open, but you're opportunistic. You take advantage of those opportunities and make the best of them. And that, you know, the other piece is that you had a clear goal. You know, you had some things set out, and you knew how, be it an internship or be it mentorship, or be it just networking, how those fit into where you were ultimately trying to go. So again, I appreciate it, and I'm in awe of you, and I think that's a great example of you know, those two. And for those on the call, that continues all the way through our career path. For myself, you know, I've balanced that in terms of, you know, how opportunistic I've been in my career and how intentional. And I would encourage all of you to continually reassess that, you know, with COVID having us all be, you know, at our homes and slow down a little bit. It's a great point in time to get really clear about goals and what you want to accomplish. I actually have a one-page goal plan that I keep in my office that I look at and I read every day, to ensure, you know, what I'm working on a day-to-day basis, I'm driving towards what I'm trying to achieve. So appreciate that, Dan. I think that's powerful advice.
right, thanks. And just to touch base upon like back my journey, like with just making that transformation or that transition into from high school and then into being in the corporate America. Sometimes I feel like very often I feel like I had to, you know, code switch a lot of the time, you know what I'm saying? So, and I feel like sometimes that may have taken away from like me being my most authentic self. I was confused a little bit about, you know, okay, so am I two people? Sometimes I feel like I was living a double life. Can you talk about just a little bit more about code switching and how we subconsciously and consciously do it, so we can act upon it, or we can talk or act like the ones that's around us? Just, you know what I'm saying? Just talk a little bit more about code switching.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And I appreciate your honesty, because I think it's something that we all go through in terms of code switching. And for those who may not be familiar what code switching is, it's the practice of, you know, kind of alternating languages or styles or clothing, whatever it may be, to kind of fit social norms, you know, whether it be, you know, whatever the dominated or majority class is in that environment, switching to accommodate that. And, you know, when done over and over, it might allude to falling into some of the prejudices that exists in certain environments. And so code switching is a real thing. And the truth is we all, to some degree, do some sort of code switching in our daily lives. If you think about how you talk to or interact with parents or teachers versus your boss versus your friends versus strangers, there's some sort of code switching that goes on. My point of view is, if it allows you to connect with other individuals, that isn't a bad thing. But if it starts to border over into changing who you are, what you stand for, that's when there's an issue as it relates to code switching and kind of changing up how you speak and how you operate. For me personally, I'm someone who values people. I love collaboration. I believe in in the power of people. And if a work environment is changing some of those core values in me, then code switching has gone way too far, and I need to reassess who I am and what I'm doing. If there are opportunities for me to kind of speak differently, to connect, or to build relationships, to me that is a part of how we all operate on a daily basis. So certainly something to consider. I think certainly as Black men, as Black individuals in corporate America, is something that we deal with, and certainly not always easy being the only one and kind of having to adjust to the majority. But again, stay rooted in who you are. Clothing, my language doesn't define who I am. I define who I am and my core values. And if I'm staying true to that, then I'm staying true to myself.
Right, definitely. And just looking at the time, I know I want to be respectful of the time. So as we wrap things up this morning, Chris, Manpower has been at the forefront of changing the world of work trends for nearly 70 years, leveraging its deep insight and experience to what skills are in demand. Can you talk with us about that a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is such an important question because the world of work, again, is changing. It's changing for employees. It's changing for employers. And the ability for individuals and companies to adapt is more relevant than ever. Recently, actually, Manpower Group put out our Manpower Employee Outlook Survey, our MEO survey, that looks at the world of work, not only the hiring intentions for companies, but also the skills and capabilities that will be needed for the next quarter, but also for the future. And I don't know, Nafisa, maybe that's something, since we have a relatively small group, we could send out to this group, because I think it's so relevant to understand what skills are in high demand. But at a high level, what it shows is that, anything that can transform business will be highly relevant going forward. So software developers, app developers, any IT skills, engineering skills will be highly relevant, excuse me. There's been an increase in kind of demand for logistics and warehouse, and certainly, obviously healthcare and essential workers as well. And the reason why that's so important is as you're really tapping into your purpose and who you are, it's also important to find out what's relevant and in demand in the world of work. And so understanding that, not only what's in demand, but how you can build those skills, how you can upskill and reskill to stay relevant is so important, more than ever. We're moving into an environment where we're more global. We're not just competing with, or you're not just competing, we're not just competing with individuals in Milwaukee, but also the nation, and also internationally, globally. And it's been proved that the U.S. is kind of trailing on some of those skills that are needed for tomorrow. So to talk about being confident in yourself, being your authentic self, bringing that authentic perspective to organizations, it's also vitally important for you to have kind of those technical skills to remain employable. So certainly that's something that we can share, have a look at it, know what skills are relevant, and really, if interested, work to build those skills so that you can remain employable and be confident bringing your best self to wherever you work.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Just wrapping things up. I know we're going short on end of time. I appreciate this discussion. It's an amazing conversation. I know it's kind of personal between, you know what I'm saying, just knowing just our relationship again. I just appreciated it. Thank you for everything that you brought and just your insight on everything. Thank you.
No, I appreciate your time as well, Dan. I appreciate you doing this with me. And for those on the call, again, appreciate your time as well. I think many of you, getting up this morning and joining this Power Pack session, it's a great start. Take advantage of the wisdom that's going to come. I know Donald Driver and Kwamina and some of the other speakers are going to drop some great knowledge for you. Take advantage of that. And for many on the call, we're open and available if anyone wants to reach out and if you're looking for someone to be an additional resource. But appreciate everyone's time and have a great rest of the afternoon.